In the spring of 2017, a quiet apartment complex in the Belleville district of Paris became the scene of one of the most shocking crimes in recent French history. Sarah Halimi, a 65-year-old retired physician and schoolteacher, lived a quiet life devoted to her faith and her community. She was well known in the neighborhood and often attended local synagogue events. She lived alone in her modest third-floor apartment. On the night of April 4th, neighbors reported hearing a series of loud screams, followed by a man reciting verses from the Quran. Moments later, the sound of a body hitting the ground echoed in the courtyard. Police were called by residents who had locked themselves inside their homes in fear. When officers arrived, they discovered Sarah Halimi's lifeless body in the courtyard. She had been beaten and thrown from her own balcony. The attacker was quickly identified as Kobali Traoré, a 27-year-old neighbor who lived in the same building. Traoré had reportedly developed an obsession with Sarah, often insulting her in the hallway and making aggressive comments. On the night of the murder, he had broken into her apartment through the window, assaulted her while shouting religious phrases, and finally thrown her from the balcony. Traoré was found later that night hiding in another neighbor's apartment, where he had taken refuge after the killing. When police apprehended him, he was incoherent and claimed to be possessed. Toxicology reports later revealed he had been under the influence of large quantities of cannabis at the time of the attack. The case caused an uproar in France, especially when it became clear that Traoré would not stand trial. After multiple psychiatric evaluations, French courts ruled that he could not be held criminally responsible because his drug use had induced a psychotic episode. The decision enraged the Jewish community and sparked nationwide protests. Critics argued that voluntary drug use should not exempt someone from being tried for such a brutal and targeted act. Sarah's family fought tirelessly for justice, arguing that the attack was clearly anti-Semitic and premeditated. They pointed to Traoré's history of anti-Semitic remarks and his behavior leading up to the murder. Public outcry grew stronger each year as the case dragged on in the courts. Ultimately, in 2021, France's highest court upheld the ruling that Traoré could not be tried, reaffirming that his mental state at the time of the killing exempted him from legal responsibility. The ruling stunned the nation and was condemned by many leaders. It led to new legislation in France aimed at closing legal loopholes involving drug-induced psychosis. While Traoré remains in a psychiatric facility under medical supervision, the Halimi family has not received the justice they hoped for. Sarah Halimi's name has since become a symbol in France of the need for stronger laws against anti-Semitic violence. Vigils and memorials are held in her honor, and her story continues to be told as an example of a justice system that many believe failed an innocent woman.